Dear all, welcome to this is third session under lesson number 2. If you remember in the previous two videos in lesson number 2, we learned how to do the opening balance for some items in the general ledger like the cash equity, and we learned how to do also the opening balance for the stock. And the previous video we learned how to do the opening balance for the customer, and now we will learn how to do opening balance for supplier. So if you remember, for the opening balance of customer, we couldn't just go to the general ledger and key in the amount. We were requested to create old invoice, and for the credit side we create old payment. The main aim of that, as I explained earlier, is to save the records. At least we will know that this amount which is left, which is opening balance for this year, is related to which previous invoice for the customer. So when we discuss with the customer email or follow up for that payment, we will be able to do that in clear information. Now, in this video, we're gonna to learn how to do the opening balance for the supplier side. So this is the suppliers. We have Lian and we have Deluxe. If you remember, this is the window of our program. We're still going to the general ledger, maintain opening balance. Our suppliers, normally they will be under the current liabilities. We have trade creditors. We need to modify first Lian what? Lian, it's okay. Lian is under specific supplier style, which is sundry creditors. If you remember, we created in our first lesson. So as usual, we need to press edit. Okay. So the supplier balance is in the credit side. So we need to go. This is a supplier. We need to go to the credit. We have open invoice. Okay. We press open invoice. Create a new, then we choose a supplier. We are talking now about Lian. Lian, we choose from here supplier code, we choose Lian. Then we need to put the invoice number. Here we have the invoice number, the purchase invoice number. We don't have here the information about the date of this invoice, so we just put the last date of the previous year. In the exam, maybe you will be given the invoice date, so please follow the invoice date mentioned, because this is one of the marks. So 31st of December 2016, as I mentioned in this example, our financial period is 2017, so we need to date this invoice as the last date of the previous year. Then we press enter, it will show us as a past invoice. Then we put the amount is 350. Then we put save. When we go to the general ledger, we put save, we put refresh, then we will see it under the creditors, okay, or under the suppliers. We have another supplier. We have the Deluxe supplier. We have debit and the credit side. Let's proceed. Also, this debit and credit side, it's similar than the debit and the credit side of the customer. So in the customer, if you remember, was advanced computer trading. The debit side was the invoice amount. The credit side was the payment we did. The payment the customer did. And for the Deluxe supplier, the credit side is the invoice we bought from the customer, from the supplier, and the amount we paid for the supplier. So let's go to Deluxe supplier. STM-PHD is under our trade creditors. Deluxe supplier, we need to put the credit side. We need to press edit to be able later to save it. So we press edit, credit side, we open the invoice. We need to put new. Please don't modify this one, because if you modify it, we'll get issues in the balances. So we put a new, we choose a supplier. Here we are talking about Deluxe supplier STM-PHD. We go to the Deluxe supplier STM-PHD. We put the invoice number. This is the invoice number. We choose, we put the full number, okay. We choose the date 31st December 2016. We put enter, we see it's a past invoice, and the amount is 980. We save. Then we put save here and refresh, and we will see it under this supplier 980. We have also for this supplier the payment, which is with payment voucher. We need to add it also. We press edit, we go to its deluxe supplier, we go to the debit side. You need to open a payment voucher. We put new, we choose a supplier. Our supplier is deluxe supplier SDM PhD. This is deluxe supplier SDM PhD. We have the payment voucher number. The date is not mentioned, so we put the last date of the previous year. Please, if the date mentioned in your exam questions, please use the mentioned date. You put enter is past payment. The amount is 180. And as we did for the customer, we need to knock off this invoice for the supplier. It means this 180 is payment from this invoice. We put save. Here is asking you the system check number is empty. Do you want to enter check number? Just mention no if you don't have that check number. Then after you save already, you go do save here, you refresh. If you notice, after we refresh, we no more have red numbers here and our balances are tally, which means our opening balances are all correct. And as accountant, it's very clear and we know that's no way to have opening balance. There's difference between the debit and credit side. Otherwise, our last balance sheet is wrong, which is not accepted. So whenever you are doing the opening balance, you need to make sure here are tally, no any differences between debit and credit side. Otherwise, you are doing wrong. Okay. So please, during the exam, make sure what you are when you finish the opening balance, you will maintaining the opening balance. You will have both sides of the opening balance or the general ledger same. Okay, like they will call it the tally. Okay. So here we finish the third part of lesson number 2. We learn how to maintain the opening balance for some items, the general ledger, like the equity, like the cash in hand and the bank. We learn how to maintain the opening balance for the stock also. We learn how to maintain, in the second video, we learn how to maintain the opening balance for customers. Then in this video, we'll learn how to maintain the opening balance for supplier. And in next video, we'll learn how to do the bank reconciliation. Okay? See you in next video. And I hope you always follow up this series of learning sessions and you subscribe the channel. Thank you.